This is a little tutorial on how to use Excel to manipulate your gradebook data. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my class that I want to export the gradebook. I'm then going to go to the Actions and Reports. I'm going to click on Printable Gradebook. I'm going to decide what information I want to show, real names or none. If some of the information comes, you can always delete it within Excel, show the grade I want to show, and if I want to show the averages or the class averages, I can do that. I click on Run, wait patiently. I then see the printout of the gradebook if I wanted to use eSchool, and I can just use the printout from here. But usually this is going to be where it has multiple pages, and I may only want the most recent assignments, so I might just print out the last page if I wanted to use eSchool. But those of you that want to use Excel to manipulate the columns and make it look just the way that you want, you would click on this Export to Excel button. I click there, and I'm going to get this little notice that says your page has been exported. Now when you do any reports, it always goes to your home page at the very bottom in the Reports section. So I'm going to scroll down to that, and if you notice, this date isn't with the most recent up at the top. So all I do is I click on the date up at the top, and then it's going to give me the dates with the most recent up here. I'm looking for the one that has the XLS at the end. There's a couple ways that you can download this. Some machines you can just click on the link and it will download. Others it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click over that one that has the XLS. I'm going to save link as, and I'm going to save it to my desktop so I can find it easily. And I'm just going to give it a name that is for the period. So I'm just going to label period 1. And I click Save. So then you see down at the bottom that the file has been saved. So I can now minimize this window. And if you want to do for your other classes, you can do this for your other classes, and you can have all of your periods on your desktop. So here's my period 1 Excel. I'm going to just double click to open it. And you may get this notice saying, are you sure you want to open it? Yes, I'm going to open it. Now you'll notice that you have your student ID, the grade, the average, and it has all of the assignments. So it also will have the course, the teacher, and all the other information. If I don't want any of these pieces of information, it's really easy to delete that row or column. Let's say that I don't really need to have the teacher or the marking period or the categories. I can just select by left click, hold, dragging over the row numbers, and then I can go to the delete and I can delete that row. Same thing for the course. I know that this is my science class, so I can just delete that row. Let's say that you don't want these old assignments in my gradebook. They can't remake the scores or it's done, so I can just left click, hold, and drag on the numbers for the columns, and I can delete those columns so that I only show what is most important. Okay, so here's some assignments that I haven't entered yet, so I can delete these by left click, hold, dragging on the column heading, the letters, and then I can delete that row and column. Okay, so let's say that this is looking the way that I want to print. Let's say that I'm not interested in this class average points. I can just left click over that numbered row and delete. Okay, so the next thing that I may want to do is I may want to have my IDs in number from smallest to biggest. So what I do is I click on the upper one and I drag, all right, what do I want to sort? I want to sort these columns by this ID number. Okay, so I make sure that I selected it properly. I am now going to go to the Sort button in the upper right, and I'm going to do a custom sort because I want to sort specifically by the student ID. So I click on the student ID, and I know that my data has a header, that's that top piece, and I do OK, and it says, well, what do you want to do with the numbers? Well, I want to treat them like a number. So now you notice that it is in sequential order from smallest to biggest, and their grades and scores travel with them when they got moved. Okay, so that's deleting columns and rows and sorting by the ID. Next thing is I want to make sure all of this fits within one screen. So this is where I'm going to go to the view and I'm going to look at the page break preview. This then will give you, all right, well, what does it look like on that page? Now, there is this blue line that's on the bottom and the top. You can adjust this if needed so that you can have more or less on the page. If you notice, when it splits up into more pages, you have this blue double line that, well, I want to make sure that I fit all of it in my printout. So if I don't want those empty columns, I just drag, left click, hold, drag that solid blue line to where it's going to be on my page. Let's say that I want all of this on my page. I'm ready to print. I then go to File and Print. And now this gives me a little snapshot of what it's going to do when it prints out. I am very particular. I like to have this as full as possible on the page. I want to make it as large and easy for my students to see. So now what I can do is I can go to my page setup. I want to fit it to one page by one page. So I'm telling the system I want to make sure that this data, this table, is going to fit as much as I can on the one by one page. I now go, and if I wanted to change it landscape, I can change it to landscape, or I can keep it as a portrait. Margins, I want to have my data, my table, in the center. So again, I'm very particular on having it so that it looks good for the students to see. I get rid of the margins on the bottom, the footer I don't need, the header I don't need, and then I can always adjust here. If you notice there's that student scores, I don't really want that, so I'm going to go to where it says none, and I do OK, and now what it's going to do, it's going to give me a little view of, well, what's going to look like. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, so now what I do is I just go to print, and it will print out that period's assignment. Hopefully that was a helpful tool for you to be able to manipulate your data and get the gradebook printed exactly the way you want. The more you do this, the quicker it becomes, and you can do all your classes in a couple minutes. Thank you, and have a good day.